June 12, 1977. The first day of summer camp at Camp Scott, deep in the Oklahoma woods. Young girls arrived, excited for 2 weeks of adventure, swimming, hiking, campfire stories. For Lori Lee Farmer, Michelle Heather Goose, and Doris Denise Milner, it was their first night away from home, sharing tent number 8. Their parents waved goodbye, trusting the camp was safe. The night brought a fierce storm, thunder, rain, and darkness. The girls' tent, a bit isolated, was swallowed by the noise of the storm. No one could have known what horror was unfolding under that cover. By morning, the camp woke to a new day, unaware that something was terribly wrong. In the Kiowa unit, an eerie silence hung over Tent 8. The innocence of summer camp was shattered overnight. For 3 families, the world had changed forever. The promise of a happy summer was broken in the most brutal way. A nightmare had begun, one no one could have imagined. The camp, once a sanctuary, would never be the same. The shadow of that night would haunt Oklahoma for decades. The story of Camp Scott was just beginning. June 13th. A counselor heading to the showers spotted something in the woods, a small body in a sleeping bag. Panic erupted. This was no accident, no prank. The camp director called police. Soon 2 more bodies were found. Lori, Michelle, and Doris, gone, taken from their tent in the night. The camp descended into chaos as parents rushed to reclaim their children. Investigators found the girls' tent empty, their belongings left behind. 150 yards away, the bodies told a story of violence. The evidence pointed to a brutal, deliberate act. The community was stunned. Girl Scout camps were supposed to be safe. The trust was shattered. How could this happen to children? Grief and fear swept through families. What if it had been their daughters? The Oklahoma Girl Scout murders became national news. A place of joy was now a crime scene. The emotional impact was immediate and devastating. The innocence of summer was lost forever. The search for answers began. The nightmare was only beginning. The investigation launched one of Oklahoma's largest manhunts. Police scoured Camp Scott, finding tape, a flashlight, and a gag. Small clues, but no clear suspect. Suspicion quickly fell on Jean Leroy Hart, a local fugitive with a criminal past. Hart knew the woods well and evaded capture for months, fueling fear in the community. Investigators found a cave with items linked to Hart, and hair at the scene was said to match his. A local woman claimed to see him near camp that night. After 10 months, Hart was caught and charged with murder. Relief swept the public. Justice seemed close. But the case was circumstantial. No fingerprints, no confession. The prosecution relied on hair analysis and witness accounts. The community was convinced of Hart's guilt. The trial was set, and families hoped for answers. But the legal process is never simple. Doubt lingered, even as the case moved to court. The search for truth was far from over. The community waited for justice. Hart's 1979 trial was a media sensation. The prosecution presented hair evidence and Hart's criminal history. The defense attacked the investigation, citing contamination and flawed forensics. They argued Hart was a scapegoat, not the killer. An alibi and a threatening note found before the murders raised more questions. The jury deliberated as the state held its breath. The verdict, not guilty. Shock and outrage erupted. Many believed justice had failed. Hart was acquitted, but sent back to prison on previous charges. The families were left without answers. Their grief deepened. The community's trust in the system was shattered. The real killer's identity remained a mystery. The case was unresolved, the pain unhealed. The shadow of doubt lingered over Camp Scott. For many, the verdict brought no closure. The search for truth continued. Hart died in prison months after his acquittal, never confessing or clearing his name. The families were left with grief and unanswered questions. Some still believe Hart was guilty. Others think the real killer was never caught. The threatening note and other suspects fueled decades of speculation. In 2022, new DNA testing offered hope, but results were inconclusive. The mystery deepened. No closure, no justice. Camp Scott closed forever, its land a silent memorial. The tragedy changed how parents viewed safety and scarred the Girl Scouts. The story of Lori, Michelle, and Doris is a chilling reminder of lost innocence. The shadow of that night still lingers in Oklahoma. The case remains officially closed, but the pain endures. The search for truth goes on, driven by the memory of 3 little girls. Camp Scott's legacy is one of heartbreak and unanswered questions. The community still seeks healing. The story refuses to be forgotten. The nightmare of Camp Scott endures,